Welcome everyone to the next of our indie gaming adventures as we take a stop at Slavicpunk, Old Timer. A real-time isometric shooter featuring all the different mechanics you'd expect coming in from a cyberpunk dystopian future. From different weapons to cybernetic augmentations, you're gonna have plenty in your arsenal for taking on the gangs, rogues, and other naughty people in the inner city, or at least that's what I would like to say. In fact, as we're about to see, just because it looks different doesn't actually mean it is. But before we start that up, I am going to very quickly go over some settings, as originally I believed this was a twin stick shooter, and then after playing for it wasn't. Well, it turns out when you go into your settings, you can actually turn on twin stick shooting, as well as auto aim. Not too sure how I feel about that one. But anyway, the options are there, and I will note the controls on a controller are a little bit funky, so it probably will be worth going in here and turning on that twin stick, as it does personally feel a little bit easier. But for today, we are going to be using mouse and keyboard, as well out of all the options, I actually think that one played the best. Which is saying a lot, because we're going to cover this as we go along, but it does feel a little clunky on the keyboard too. With all that said, and without further ado, game on. And onwards to the hostile tutorial. Fabulous name. I'm just making a note on some of those controls, because when I was first checking this out, I didn't really notice them, and even when I went back to prepare for this video, I kind of still didn't see all the controls tutorialized. But WASD to move around, holding shift if you want to run, press spacebar, you can do a little roll, as well as the controls are going to show us as we go, such as control for our crouch, alt for our dodgy, speedy thing. Alongside the controls for our consumables, you can see them in the bottom right with our medkits and our syringy things. Right, let's get ready for our first horde room. And before we go in, I'm just going to note, this game is surprisingly difficult for two reasons. For starters, as I said, I don't feel very comfortable playing it on controller, but at the same time, I just don't feel fully comfortable playing this at all, to be honest, at all. So I just found the actual combat became a little weird and a little clunky. But then moving on to mouse and keyboard, having to use a mixture of Shift, Alt, X, and T, I mean, it just feels like all the controls are a little bit off. So honestly, being able to remap this would be pretty darn handy. Unfortunately, I didn't notice the option to do so. So you can have a quick look through again just to double check. And no, it is definitely not there. You can change your sensitivity, you can change your mouse, your controller. There's no options to rebind the keys on your keyboard. Which sucks, because all you would need to do is just change a handful of them, just moving things onto keys like Q and E, as currently they're not used for anything. And don't ask me why, but having medkit set to M just feels a lot more natural to me. I know there was a bit of a debate online about this, but for games like this, crouching should be C and control should be that dodge. The left alt should not be used at all. As I'm sorry, but the natural way you lay your hand on a keyboard means your thumb would have to go underneath your hand in order to hit Alt. Yeah, 100% doable, but it's not natural. But I've digressed enough, let's go take on some of these buggers. And there are a lot of them with a whole heap of different weaponry. You're gonna have some melee units and some shotgun units, as well as a little bit. Oh, that was mistimed very badly. On all counts, active reload, dodging, you name it. I'm actually taking quite a lot of damage, to be honest, from this guy. There we go, bloody brawlers. Right, we're now going to be hacking, because this chipper chapper, they have a shield. But you can still be shot when you're hacking. Because it doesn't pause the game. Because it doesn't pause the game. And thus our second issue comes in. Not the fact that it doesn't pause. Actually, the issue I have with this is that you do seem to die without any real indication. Yes, your health goes down and you can see it going down, but there's not like sudden flashing red or damage indicators to show that you're being hit and the direction that damage is coming from in the center of your screen to keep things nice and clear and easy. Nope, those UI elements are completely absent, and instead you simply have to notice all of that while taking on your enemies. Also, I suck at isometric shooters, so yeah, that doesn't help. Thankfully though, the game is fairly forgiving and gives you plenty of checkpoints. But I can definitely say I am not going to be trying this on higher difficulties anytime soon. Let's go ahead and just restart the full level, and let's see if we can just blitz forward and really use this opportunity to take in a little bit of that ambiance. As I gotta say, that is the entire reason I gave this game a try. beside the humorous name. I mean, seriously, who isn't curious about a dystopian future with all the powers of Slavicness? Now we know what we're doing, we don't need to take our time. It'll be a bit more dangerous. Oh God, not that dangerous. But the environments do genuinely look cool, and I reckon if we got a bit of a zoom in, a bit of a proper look at this chipper chapper, I'd have a touch of the old boy about them. Oi, you threw a grenade at me. What a douchebag. Right, but that's scandal averted. Oh damn, that's a good movie. It ages since I last saw it. So much that ago. See, I even gave me my plans for the weekend. Even if it is freaking out the dogs. I might need to check on this in a tick. But before that, we do want to make a fair bit of progress. For Pete's sake, we've been using the revolver this entire time. Let's get into some of the decent weapons. Not to mention upgrading them. Although that being said, I won't deny there is going to be a little bit of luck involved in that, in just having all the right parts available in order to actually upgrade them. But at the bare minimum, we will be able to take a look at the workshop where we can see what we could improve should the time ever come. Right, now we've actually been able to do that without getting absolutely slaughtered. Let the hacking begin. We're going to press W on our keyboard to follow the path to the character, then left click in order to select them, and now is when we get to start using up some of those batteries. And doing so by engaging in a little mini game, which, to be fair, is an interesting way to do it. Unfortunately, once more you can't change the keys, and they want you to use the arrow keys, which are nowhere near either of my hands. Like I swear, the vast majority of issues I have with this game can be fixed by simply giving you the option to control the key bindings. But still, your hacking is rather important because by doing so, not only can you cause some damage, more importantly, you're able to stagger the enemy, which has allowed us to get behind that shield and actually cause some damage. Feature Bear here, for the bit you're about to see, there's a bit of an error on the gameplay, so my bad. Let's watch and see if you can guess it before I say anything. Spider drones, destroy the spider drones to get rid of annoying ads and get new weapon upgrades. Fortunately, I cannot slash you. I completely forgot to pick it up. Yeah, I don't really know how I managed to do that, to be honest, but I missed picking up the upgrade. And thinking back as I edit this, I'm pretty sure I missed the next ones as well. Remember kids, don't be like Bear. Pick up your upgrades. Anyway, my bad, we do get to see the workshop later on, but unfortunately I didn't pick up the upgrades to actually put them in. Not that it matters anyway, just run and gun, you'll probably be fine. Either way, just wanted to point out the reason why we couldn't put those upgrades in. Do pick them up when you destroy the spider bots if you wish to do so. Or if you fancy taking on the bear challenge. Oh yes, this was actually all on purpose. Then try and complete the game without those fancy upgrades. Anyway, my bad guys, take it away, Pass Bear. You know, it's definitely nice that you have the option for that melee weapon, just that slash, that knife coming in every now and then. But this may just be a weird gaming logic thing because it happens so often in them. But it definitely feels like it should be a little bit more powerful, particularly if you're going to make it hit such a small area. Like if it's a big broad AoE or it creates distance with the enemy, then yeah, cool, whatever. You can do like basically no damage, that's fine. But if you're doing no damage and you hit a really small area so it's super hard to hit anything, that's just pointless. Like, just get rid of it at that point. No one's ever going to use it. In fact, if I'm honest, all you've done is take up a key that could have been used somewhere else. God damn it. Give me key binding. Either way, we've got brand new weapons. God damn it. We got rifles, we got shotguns. Let's see what these little babies can do. I'm still not happy with this. Right, so if all else fails, let's just bring out the big gun. Quite literally. Try and take this bugger on from a distance, not let them get the shotgun on us. So we've seen our cybernetic augmentations. Oh god, I love this thing. But also on the top left, these are our hacking battery things. This will allow us to hack the enemies with a keen little note there that you can damage their scrotum. Yep. And somehow that will make their accuracy lower. I don't know what I'm saying somehow. Of course that'll make your accuracy lower. Very frankly, I'll be amazed if they can still stand, let alone aim. Days, how many of you buggers are there? A freaking shotgun wielder as well. 2 of them. Great, that's not good. Right, we need to exit this and heal. And run. And gun. And run and gun. That's what it's all about. It's the aim of the game here. I mean, we could hack them. But after reading that bit about the scrotums, I feel a little bad doing that now. Let's have a little run around and try and grab some of this health, grab some of this ammo, actually get in position to go take on the enemy. And I tell you what, I do do generally need to start using that dash a bit more. It's just in such an awkward position using that left alt. Which I'm not going to complain about key bindings for, because I'm turning over a new leaf. This is basically just become an entire video about how not to build a game, and that feels harsh. Because even though I'm not totally enamored with this game, I think that's a fair stance to take, and though I have seen complaints about a lot of bugs coming in, at least from what I've checked out, has been relatively stable. Even if rendering has a little bit of a questionable delay. But it's only through failure you can learn, and by learning you can improve, get better, return, make new games, and introduce key bindings. So as I said, taking on those drones, taking on those spider bots, means that we can gain access to some of the upgrades for our equipment. We currently don't have any for the revolver. Oh, that sucks. Right, let's get anything? We need to buy this item first. We have 5,600 credits. Unfortunately, we don't have any of the upgrades for this. You need to buy this item first. So we have to go get some items, and then we can come back here and upgrade our gear. Come on, game. Throw us a bone here, mate. You're not making my life easy. So let's go track that down. Right, we need to run back out of here because the doorway is now open. Excellent. New weapon nearby, contains weapons. Hello. Let's see, we have gained a brand new SMG alongside a whole bunch of ammunition. I do have to say, even though that there is a variety of weapons in this, it's still fairly bland and kind of the same with those hackings. Being able to stun, being able to damage, it's sort of cool. Yeah, it's useful, gives you some options on the field, but it's not exactly pushing any boundaries. I feel like I kind of prefer the rifle, to be honest. And to be honest with you, given how powerful the weaponry is and how much you can run around, just spraying and praying, it does seem like you're not really going to be using them that much outside of just straight up counters. At which point it just becomes a question of you literally just introduced a problem so that you can create the solution. I mean, alternatively, you could have just given us a grenade. It would have done the exact same job and be more useful. Can we just get grenades? It seems like the easier one. Oh, we'll turn the enemy into grenades by making all their implants explode. See, now that would have been a cool system. Don't damage them, just make them explode into little chunky bits that take everyone out around them. Or you could hack their arms to then just fire on each other. I suppose actually it's organs, so I don't know, it gives them an exploding liver, for the liver is evil, deserves punishment. I know I'm doing my part. But that also links into the reactive reload system. They've introduced it, and to be honest, I haven't noticed a huge difference between reloading and hitting that extra R for the extra damage compared to just letting it reload naturally. Yes, it's quicker, that is flipping useful. It doesn't suddenly turn your assault rifle into a bolt gun, firing out miniature rockets. Now, I accept the fact that we have been unable to add those upgrades in, but I honestly have to say, even with all those upgrades, I can't see it making a huge difference to how this game plays out. Maybe in the later state when you've added a load of them in. And I do appreciate that games have to be a little bland, a little normal to begin with, and then slowly edge their way in towards the ludicrousness that is things like Borderlands and Armed and Dangerous. One day the land shark gun shall return, so saith the prophecy of the bear. But it just feels like it's missing out on a little bit of that flair, a little bit of that ridiculousness. The actual combat is there. There's lots of enemies to deal with, which we'll be coming back to later on for the issues with that. The arenas are interesting. There's definitely some intrigue going on in the background. You can see, I'm gonna go with corpses or, I don't know, adreno harvesting, organ harvesting. They're harvesting something, okay? I don't know what the hell's going on there, but it's bad. So we've got the grimdark, we've got the cyberpunk, we have the Slavicness, which I'm still intrigued as to what difference that's going to make. But it just feels like the gameplay, the actual mechanics, have been left at the wayside, and unfortunately they haven't brought us enough of a story or intrigue that we directly interact with really just lore being the interesting thing. But if you can't keep players engaged with your gameplay, it's not going to make a difference, because no one's going to want to put the effort in to find out about it. And as I said before, I seriously don't want to rag on this, because the game is not bad. It's just in need of some polish and in need of some flair. But what can I say? It's kept me busy for a good few hours trying this out beforehand, and made good company with beer and pizza, which is really sad to admit, but that is basically my definition of a good game. Being simple is marvelous. We are doomed. Didn't even hear the guns go off. In fact, as they said, death came unexpectedly. Actually rather apt, to be honest. But I think I am going to call that there for the simple reason that Although the base game does seem to be there is still a lot of things, a lot of polish needed for me to really sink my teeth into this. Taking on hordes and fighting lots of enemies in arenas is par on the course. It's literally what gaming was back in the day. But having them quite literally spawn in next to you, that's a little bit ridiculous. Especially when they can be armed with something as powerful as a shotgun, which can just take you out in seconds. I kind of just feel like this game's trying to steal my quarters. It knows that you're going to take damage, and it knows you're going to take a lot. So it doesn't want to tell you that's happening. It's just going to spawn the guy with the shotgun right behind you, and then boom, the little bears can't afford their Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Actually depressed me a little bit saying that, to be honest. So setting up some way to prevent the enemy from spawning in given the proximity to the player, having some more indication of when you're being damaged, where that damage is coming from, having more indication of when you're really low on health, or even something as simple as just hints to use your health kits, and giving a whole lot more control over how you set up your keyboard are all key things I would want to see added. Now I do respect that for some of those, such as health indication and UI elements, that is a choice on the side of the game developer, so if they feel that the experience would be changed by adding those in, fair enough, I'm not going to argue. But in terms of the ability to control the mapping of your keyboard, for me that is a fundamental requirement of PC gaming. Not just in terms of it's something that's come to be expected in PC games, but also in terms of accessibility. The ability to adjust and control the layout of one's keys, or make use of a whole host of different peripherals, has always been something that's granted far more accessibility to people across the world through PC gaming. And although there is a whole lot more I can get into with that rant, I do hope at least it hints at there being different perspectives as to why something like being able to control your key binding is so fundamentally important beyond just PC gamer entitlement. But either way, that will have to do for today, so thank you very much for tuning in and checking out Slavic Punk Old Timer. Till next time, as always, peace out.